Hello everybody and welcome to Headline Mondays here on The Crunch. Today we take a look at the biggest stories of the past week. Now, a story that we think is very important but which many people might not be aware of is a recent letter by the Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates to the citizens. And in that letter, he broke down several achievements of the administration over the past few years and their plans for the future. Something else that you might not be aware of is that Burundi and now South Africa are looking like they might be wanting to leave the International Criminal Court. What are the implications of such an action? Our guests are in the studio and we'll be breaking down these topics in today's show. With me in the studio is Olushola Pacheco. She's the founder of Whoot Africa, and Whoot Africa is an organization that is telling inspirational and business stories across the continent. And here today on the show, she's going to talk to us about her opinions on the letter from the Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and what Nigeria can learn from it. Welcome to The Crunch.
Thank you so much. First, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the show. When you look at the likes of the United Arab Emirates, you can't help but to say well done. I know they have their backstories, but at the same time, when you look at the things they've achieved, we have the downturn in the oil industry right now, and they're not affected by it because they've been able to diversify.
Yes.
And when you look at what the Sheikh has done in writing to his people about the success stories
so
and what they have to go, and the years they have to go till 2021, and then you bring that to Africa, I think it's a sad story. When you think of what is happening right now, I think one of the things that Nigeria needs is legislation. You don't need to fight corruption, you need to put the right laws. And
Shola, wouldn't you argue on some level, somebody has said, and I tend to agree, that Nigeria's problem is not that we don't have laws, it's that we do not enforce these laws?
Well, the thing is, it's not about enforcing laws, it's about having ridiculous laws. If you have a country where the government says you're mature and ready to vote at 18, then we should have a straight line law that says the age of consent for sex and marriage should be 18 as well. Well, if you have the kids in the UK and the US being encouraged to be innovative through technology, and then there's a young girl in a village somewhere who's afraid she's going to be married off to an elderly man at some point, how does she compete? So I feel like it's not about the laws that we have ridiculous laws that needs to be changed. You need to look at the way that people are being empowered. We had the Ebola crisis and in 2014. What have we learned? What has changed? I heard there's been 2 new cases of the Ebola virus discovered in Liberia. If you had another Patrick Sawyer get on a plane to Nigeria, what have we done differently?
Have we changed?
So yes, it's not about, when you look at what the Sheikh is doing, he's being accountable to his people.
That was another thing.
Yes, when you look at African leaders, very few are accountable.
Yes.
I would say right now the leading African leader has to be Paul Kagame of Rwanda. He's done quite a lot in terms of the development of their country. But I still feel like we have a long way to go, and we need to stop saying Africa is rising. Because the fact is, Africa rose a long time ago. He or she just refused to get out of the bed. I feel like every time we say that, we use it as an excuse for how slowly that we're going. If you don't empower your people with education, they cannot get out of poverty.
That's actually something I noticed, that they're very proud of the fact that they have 95% attendance from kindergarten level.
Yes.
And it's very impressive. There's quite a lot of focus on social services, on health, education, security. It was something I noted very strongly.
Well, if you look at Rwanda recently got recognized by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation for Good Governance. I believe that if you don't, the people you don't protect and you don't empower, they cannot grow. Rwanda realizes that women play a very big part in the economy. They have 67% of representation of women in the parliament. They have 95% of children of school age in school, and they're actually attracting more investments than any other country right now. Unlike Nigeria, where we take a day off, especially Lagos, to clean our environments as environmental sanitation, they take a day off a month to do something development-wise. And I think that at this point, when you look at what the Sheikh of Dubai has done, we still have a long way to go. There's no comparison. And I think that at this point, President Buhari is trying to fight corruption, which I think is fantastic. But the thing is, you need the right laws that ensure that somebody can steal, but they will be caught within a short period of time.
Yes.
Until you get to that point where you empower the people, you empower the police, and you don't allow certain aspects of a government become hunt dogs to people who are on the other side of a political barriers or something. But at the same time, I feel like, yes, we have to be optimistic about Nigeria. If not, what future is there for us?
Of course, that's definitely true. Now, the final thing I did notice that I was quite impressed by was the clarity of his vision from now to 2021. He's like, look, we have only 5 years. We've achieved only 62% of our goals. We need to make the remaining 38%. Despite the impressiveness of those achievements, there was still very much a sense that we haven't yet done nearly as much as we want to do, and this is our plan. How can we improve on our planning, our goal development?
Well, you start by being accountable. If you're not accountable to your people, you cannot set long-term goals. He's been able to talk about the things that they have done, and their vision for their strategy was 2021, and they still have a few years to go. Their healthcare system is fantastic. I believe that we need to start in the little steps. We need to start taking the steps in the right direction. We need to start doing research. We need to be able to not always look to the West to solve our problems, because no country is responsible for your country. You're responsible for what is happening. So there has to be being accountable, being responsible. If you're not accountable to your people, you cannot set long-term goals, and that's exactly what he's doing. People are asking, you've actually said 2021, what have you done so far? If you look at the likes of Dubai, tourism is fantastic. When you look at our cable TV, Dubai Healthcare Services already advertising their services for medical tourism. And I think that's really sad. I think that we need to get to that point where we need to start building our little building blocks, being able to say, yes, we're Africans, but we shouldn't always want the West to solve our problems. You have doctors here, you have neurologists here, you have engineers here, and fantastically social media is beginning to put a spotlight on the things that the government is not doing. So I think for me, this is a word to the Senate and the Legislative House. You need to put aside your differences and look at the people who have elected you. You need to put aside the fact that, oh, we need to earn this amount, this is what we earn, and start to put your people first, because it's very, very important. 2019 is around the corner. A lot of people now see the benefits and the importance of having the right people in the Senate. Because while we were busy thinking of our governors and the presidency, we forgot the people who were supposed to make the laws. And I think right now it's very, very important that they need to bring down the age that one can be voted for. Because if I can vote for you at 18, please let me also be able to run for office. You might be doing something, you know, in the old ways, but I can always bring something new to the table, which is very, very important.
That is a totally different discussion, trust me, because it's a very valid point, and it does lead to our emphasis on the fact that only older people, our emphasis on this opinion or perception that only older people can lead, and it's a discussion we definitely need to have
another day.
But thank you for breaking it down.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
I hope that we can actually sit down and think, okay, what can we do by the year 2021 to meet up with Dubai as well?
Just come. Thank you so much. 25-year plan, something.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A pleasure. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.